and welcome to a brand new episode of Sipping Tea with Suzanne. I am your fabulous host, Positively Suzanne, and this is Black History Month. Today is my final show on Black History Month, which I spotlight Black excellence, but Black History is 365, so I don't have to say it. But I just really wanted to highlight some phenomenal individuals for the month of February. So I have in the studio with me that Dr. Antia Veal. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm so well. How about yourself?
I am so good.
That's
I am so
awesome.
good. So let me say hi and then I can run back to
All
you.
right.
So y'all know the format. It's going to be about my guests for the next hour. We're going to talk, we're going to laugh, and we're going to have some good times. And you're just going to learn so many things and just be blown away and amazed by my lovely guest, as I am when each time I listen to her. But I want to say thank you to all our loyal viewers and subscribers. I appreciate you guys tuning in week after week. We're on YouTube under Positive Vibe Studio. We're on Facebook under Positively Suzanne. And I do have to give shout out to my executive producer, Paul Anderson, who makes the magic happen week after week. Yay! And provide those lovely pitches. So if you watched the show for the month of February, I actually started the month off with Jatari Veal, who is married to Dr. Antia Veal, right? So should have the kids in there somewhere. We talked a lot about financial stuff and finances and just about being a black man in America, and I think it's always important to acknowledge that. And then today I have the lovely Dr. Antia Veal, and I'm going to make sure I say
Yes.
doctor every single time,
Thank
because I think it's important. It wasn't an easy road to get to. It's important. It's a lot of hard work, and I know that you're proud of it, and as you should be proud of it. So I just want to say welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And, this is an awesome platform to be on. So I'm so honored and I appreciate you having us this month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anytime, anytime. So you are, I don't really talk a lot of things. Fascinated because it's like this was just not my thing in high school. Like you are senior application scientist, and I know
Yes.
that you look down and break down the DNA and molecular.
Some stuff.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what you mean.
And all that stuff. And like, so when I was in high school, like, I was terrified I was going to
Yeah.
have to dissect a frog.
Yeah.
And I always missed it, which was
Yeah.
great because, like that grosses me out. So I was never going to be a scientist.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
a fashion major.
Oh, yes.
But welcome to the show. And I do want to
Thank
say
you.
so. Jatari introduced us. I think
Yes.
they introduced us via email or text. I don't know how.
Yep.
And we met and fell in love.
Yes.
And it's
Love at
just been
first sight.
love at first
Love
sight.
at first sight.
Sorry, Paul. Sorry. It's been a love fest ever since,
Yeah.
and I just, your essence. You're so humble, and just really like highlight others, and just you're amazing.
Thank you.
And I just really wanted to have on the show, and this
Oh, man.
get others get to see what I see when
Oh.
I talk to you.
Thank you. Well, I mean, you have to be amazing around amazing folks too. So I can't half step when I'm next to someone like yourself. I want to go and change clothes and put on something a little bit, with a little bit more drip because I am dull sitting over here. So this one.
Because I was like, I'm in Black History Month. I want to wear the skirt.
Yeah.
I'm just wearing a T-shirt from my brand, and I don't do T-shirts.
Yeah.
Period. But like, so then I gotta put on the front. But always look stunning. I love the like.
Thank you.
So look, the bee,
The nerd.
like, the bling bling bee. Like girls, nerd means smart, so it's an insult to me. So so wow,
Yeah.
dreams do come true.
Yes, ma'am. They do. I tell people all the time, like when I was younger, growing up, I'm in the garage mixing stuff I don't need to be mixing up in the garage, and I'm getting caught, getting in trouble. But my parents, my family, they supported it. They saw very early on that I had this curiosity that would fit in somewhere in the STEM field, and just not having representation there, you kind of didn't know how to navigate it. But I led with my curiosity, led with my interest in what I wanted to do and be, and I'll say a couple years later, like, wow, this was ingrained in me earlier on of what I want to do and be. And I had an epiphany one day. I'm like, man, I'm really living my dreams, like living my dreams.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's incredible. So,
yeah,
here you are, a little black girl.
Yeah.
The husband's from Mississippi.
He is from Mississippi.
He's from Mississippi.
Yes.
And you're from
Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan.
Stand up.
Yes, okay. So you're this little black girl in Detroit.
Yep.
You're fascinated by science,
Yeah.
and your family support you. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
I not understand because
Don't understand at all.
what is this truly good, but you're fascinated.
Yeah.
And, I don't think people understand how incredible that is to have a dream like that as a little black girl in Detroit and not seeing representation and pursuing it and achieving it.
Yeah.
So I know that you dreamt big, but when you were thinking about it, did you think that was going to be a reality?
No, ma'am. I did not. Again, and a lot of times too, you don't know education wise how to get there, and what is the name, what's the title, what's the major that you are supposed to go in, what's the avenue and things. So I think for me, I just kind of saw a door, I kept walking through it. You saw another door, you kept walking through it, and it's like, oh, this is leading me somewhere. So you didn't get that real bigger picture until a little later on. But yeah, I mean, I just followed the passion. Yeah, I was the one putting the dissected organs in the refrigerator out there because I wanted to look at it a little bit closer. But again, I did not, that was not endorsed in my household, but Ziploc bag, and then
like now, I would have no beat you up as my sister, but never. But so to do that, and you said you just kept, going through the so. For those little girls that are watching right now, and they have this curiosity, what would you say to them? Like, what would be their first step?
Yeah, keep digging. You remember as a child digging in the mud, and you find one rock, and you're like, what's deeper than that? Can I touch the earth? Can I touch the core of the earth? And so, you keep digging and you keep going for it, and eventually you'll strike gold. You'll find something. You don't have to stick to one thing. I think starting earlier on, I wanted to be an astronomist because I was so fascinated with the stars and the moon and outer space and everything. And I'm like, oh man, this is so like neat. There's so much stuff out there, but I'm never going outer space. I don't think I like heights that much. Yeah. That led to other things where I'm like, what is all this stuff we're eating? What's the names of these things? How does it affect our bodies? And so that kind of led me into a path of just biology and eventually immunology and microbiology. And so that's kind of, where it landed. But I kept digging, kept going for it. And I struck gold, with it. Found something I really enjoyed.
I love that. Yeah. So, I mean, your kids. So you've watched Finding Nemo, and just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Just keep digging, just keep digging, just keep digging.
Yep, it's all right.
Okay, I love that. Yeah. So you were there. Can you tell me a little bit about the path to college and
Yes. Yes. So all we knew growing up was after high school, you're going to get your degree, you're going to college. So I actually was recruited for track and field in high school. So I ran track. I knew I wanted to run track too. So I was, I'm a big competitor. Yeah. Sports and stuff. So I got recruited for track and field at Mississippi Valley State University in the hot old Delta. Oh my gosh. It wasn't hot. It's scorching hot. And I saw cotton fields coming on up there. You're not from Detroit,
Yeah.
the core mazes and all that stuff. So my family dropped me off right in front of the gym where my track coach came out to greet us, and then he had some of my teammates there. They're coming in with their southern accents. I'm like, where am I at? Like, I've never this. So dropped me off there. I started running track, but they also had biology as a major there as well too. Had a lot of supportive faculty members and professors that were there as well. Mississippi Valley State is a HBCU too, just so I'm promoting that and throwing that out there. Yeah. Yes, yes. You know. You're taking me back to my track day. Chance. You can do it now. You can do it now. I'm bad. Yeah. It was a great time though, but got a lot of exposure to other programs and like the Thurgood Marshall program that helped to fund some of my undergraduate degree, and then me and my love, we were with child my junior year. He graduated that year, so you met yes, he scooped me up this freshman year. Scooped me right on up, and then we talked about didn't see anything else. So we did that. Had our son in 2010, and I knew I still had some work to finish, for my bachelor's degree. And so, being the great supportive system he was, as well as his family, my in-laws, they had my son for a couple months in, my schooling. I used to drive back and forth 5 see him, come back to school. But then right before graduating, I see a flyer on the wall, and I promise it was like divine intervention. God really ordered my steps. If I'm being just quite honest, He ordered my steps. I saw a flyer. It said LS Mant program, bridge to doctorate, $30,000 stipend. Your tuition is paid for. And this is back in 2011 in Mississippi. So price of living it's not Massachusetts. It's not. It's not. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I made no money then, so no. So I applied for that program after talking to a couple of my professors there, and I got accepted to Jackson State University, a part of their Bridge to Doctorate program. My son and we moved into a small little apartment in Jackson, Mississippi, and I went to school. Had some friends watch him at night if I had like night classes and so forth. But yeah, it was quite an experience. But that program, which is also HBCU as well, but it provided me the opportunity to travel internationally to other institutions where they had pipelines at, where now I'm like, okay, so masters, I don't have to stop at a master's. I can get a PhD. And, growing up, I didn't know that you could get a bachelor's degree and go directly into a PhD program. You know, I thought it was bachelor's, master's, PhD. No, ma'am. No. 2 years I did my master's degree. It gave me a edge later on in my PhD program, but I didn't know, and a lot of people don't. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. You can just apply after you get your bachelor's degree in a graduate, because they're both graduate programs. Get your PhD, and you have some time to spare. So exactly, absolutely. So yeah. Yeah.
The little curious girl
Yes.
became a scientist.
Yeah.
All right. So I know you did the international, you did the college, you did the HBCU, and all of that. So throughout your journey, did you start to see more folks that look like you, or was it still a journey where not a lot of folks look like you?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I did go to two HBCUs prior to, and there were professors in the STEM field that were our educators and so forth. But in academia, sometimes, and sometimes with smaller institutions, there's not a lot of research based projects that are happening, and if they are, they're smaller opportunities there. And also ran track, so I was kind of traveling with track, coming back, taking classes, and so forth. So I saw Black teachers or people in STEM when I was in my bachelor's and master's program, but it wasn't until my PhD where I really saw people that look like me, which I happen to be in his lab, people that look like me doing the big stuff, you know, where they're applying for $1 million grants and they're competing for funding and they're doing horse research where we're going to the veterinarian department and, you know, looking at horses and like actually having, you know, a pathway to medicine on the market. You know, we had investors coming into the lab. We had human patient samples. We're working with the hospital. It's like this was on a grand stage that, you know, I didn't even know exists, you know, because a lot of times the focus is education, you know, in your bachelor's, master's program and so forth. But this was a whole different arena for me. So I'm like, wow. And, you know, it wasn't a lot of us, you know, and this is a top 10 university of the country, University of Florida. So it's like, it's me, you, and that person over there, you know? So yeah, big jump.
No, it is absolutely a big jump. And this little girl from Detroit just that was curious and just kept digging and just kept, you know, and I do believe that our steps are divinely ordained and, you know, God kept putting different, but you worked hard. It wasn't that these opportunities were given to you, like, you know, you became aware of them, but you worked your tailbone off, you know, to get to where you are because, you know, so you're a senior application scientist. So break that down for us lay folks.
Yes. So there's a couple of different avenues that, you know, after you get your PhD, you can go into. And one being that you can stay in academia, you can do a postdoc, which I did a year of my postdoc there, but I wanted to make the transition outside of academia. You know, I wanted to see how the work that I was a part of become more I wouldn't say commercialized, but more, you know, directly translatable to people, you know? Sometimes in academia, I don't want to say it stays in discovery, but it's a lot of, you know, wet lab research and so forth. And when you get outside of academia, you know, that's the biotechs, the pharma, you know, pharmaceutical companies where you're working with drugs that have the potential to go on the market sooner, you know? So I wanted to test my feet there. I got the opportunity to work for my current company now as an application scientist here. It's best described as like scientific consulting, if that makes sense. So you can think about I'm the scientist who talks to other scientists to help make their assays and applications better or optimal, you know? So I get to see a lot of different other things without being in lab 3 o'clock in the morning and euthanizing samples. So I get a chance to have a better work life balance while still applying, you know, my knowledge to others and helping others as well. Yeah.
And you get to
yes.
Like you get to clean and feel it up. So now this is obviously I know this. You have two little ones. So any of them interested in the science?
Yes. So my son should be more interested than my daughter, but he is not. He is not. He was the one in lab with me. I say he got every degree that I've got with me. So I don't understand why he's not interested in the science. But my daughter is. She shows great interest, just like me, in like the planets and stars and you know every time it's a full moon she thinks Mooney is gonna come and collapse on the earth. I'm like, that's not how, you know, gravity and rotational poles work. Yeah, curiosity, but she's showing great interest in that, and she's like, Mom, I want to be just like you, and I want to do science. And I said, you'll be better, you know. And that's the goal. So
absolutely.
Yes.
That is our goal as parents to equip them, you know, to be better than we did, so that they continue to build generational wealth because we don't have that. You know, our parents did not have the opportunity based on, you know, the circumstances and where they are. And
Mm-hmm.
even though currently the current administration is trying to erode all
Yep.
of the hard work that
Yes.
came to this moment,
Yep.
we won't allow it to happen, and we'll continue to build, and we will continue to encourage our kids and
Yes.
empower them to
Yep.
be better than we ever were.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. That's all we can do.
And that's
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching a video the other day because I'm not gonna lie, it's been a bit discouraging, you know,
mm,
especially in the STEM field nowadays, where a lot of changes are occurring in the government, a lot of uncertainties, you know,
mm-hmm.
whether if you're on one side or the other, you don't know, and I don't know,
Yeah.
and we're on the same or opposite sides,
Yeah.
you know, and so you know, I wish it could be a lot better transparency in the plan of action,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, not too long ago, there was a freeze on the NIH's travel.
Mm-hmm.
And so the NIH is the National Institute of Health. That's the, you know, main top dollar folks that uh, supplies grants and funding
Mm-hmm.
for research labs
Mm-hmm.
and for, you know, the quality of life to get
Mm-hmm.
better based on these labs. And so that was frozen for a second. And so
Yeah.
the grants weren't coming, you know, admissions to schools who rely on these grants are now having to take a halt. There are some
Mm-hmm.
students who are applying to graduate school who don't know if they got accepted because, you know, they don't know if
Yeah.
they'll have funding or the numbers, you know, to support it because
Mm-hmm.
graduate school in STEM, it pays. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you pay for your education that way. So it's been a bit discouraging, but I heard a podcast recently that one of the speakers, they said, you know, there was a younger person asked them like, what do we do? Like, how, like, what
Mm-hmm.
did you guys do back in the day? And like all this different things of overcoming adversity and challenges. And they said, you know, normally, hey, we went through it. You got every generation has its own hurdles,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so that provided a bit of comfort to say that I know what y'all went through. You know, I know what the 50s and the,
Mm-hmm.
you know, 60s,
70s,
70s, 80s, 90s, you know, and every
mm-hmm.
generation will have its
Mm-hmm.
challenge, but it's up to us who's, you know,
Mm-hmm.
active in that generation to be able to, you know, have
Mm-hmm.
our own story of redemption and overcoming things. So that they gave a battery in my back because
No,
we're resilient. Yeah.
Well, actually, that's a great way to look at it because I think that it is something to overcome right
Yeah.
now. There is a very real threat
Yeah.
to our very existence and our way of life.
Yep.
And, you know, I think if even the bigger pictures where education
Oh, yeah.
is being threatened, so that when you think about that, when you niche down
Yep.
to STEM and things like that, like
Yes.
you don't want to erode all the progress
Yeah.
that was,
Yeah.
you know, made. And
Yeah.
it was already so challenging and fighting to
Yeah.
see folks that look like you and me in
Yes.
STEM. So now to put even more obstacles
Yeah.
in their way, that little curious girl might not
Yeah.
continue to dig because it's like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
feels like they going against a wall or
Yep.
a concrete, you know, whatever in the ground if you're digging right now.
Yeah.
So clearly, you made it. See, like we're here. We always so you know so like and that's for me,
Yeah.
that's the like just one of the hard thing about this thing is
Yeah.
it's like it could kill curiosity,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
hope, and
Yeah.
you know, so we can't, you're right, we've been through things, unfortunately we continue to go through things,
Yeah.
we've got to remain committed, we've got
Yeah.
to say like, hey, you know, we've got this for those who have gone through,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you just continue to still inspire
Yeah.
hope because we
Yeah.
all live our life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I thought about it too. I was like, the talk we had the other day at
Mm.
QCC, I was like, you know, what if someone asked me, you know, this program that help afforded you the opportunity to go to school and, you know, have a way of
Mhm.
life and so forth. Like, what if someone asked, like, well, what do you think about now and what's happening and the uncertainty of things and so
Mhm.
forth? And I did get stunned a little bit where I'm like, dang, what do we do
So I'm
now?
asking
You
you.
know, but you know, I thought more about this. So I had time to.
She wrote last week, Christian Community College, you know, I'm a big fan of. What's up? they had a Black History Month event, and it's a speaker panel, and it's the second year, and you were the keynote speaker, and you did so brilliantly.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, and so you were saying that like during your speech, you thought about something, so you thought about it. So tell us.
And I thought about it. I said, especially, like I said, Black History Month. So us Black folks, we're resilient. We started institutions, aka HBCUs, and Negro colleges and things like that because they didn't give us opportunities. We've been here before. There's a saying that talks about David and Goliath, in the battle and how he talks himself up. And in the Bible, it talks about how David's like, man, yeah, I'm a little nervous. He tall, and I'm paraphrasing. He's a giant and stuff, but you know what? I've killed lions and tigers and bear. Not all that was in that region, but you get what I mean. I'm good beast, so this guy is nothing, and we've been here before. We've faced tougher challenges. Absolutely. We have done so much amazing things with little, and we can figure it out together. We can make sure that there's opportunities out there for ourselves. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like it's a time of encouragement and not getting down and bonkered by what we see around us, but like to unify and to do it together.
Absolutely. And, I love that. Listen, enslavement didn't end us.
Nope.
So this orange thing will not be the end of us. Like, it really can't. I refuse to give it that much power. Like, I'm being very, very real. It can. Like, we are bigger and better than that.
It's orange.
It's not.
Yeah.
It can't.
Yeah.
It won't be.
Yeah.
So, just think about our defeat cannot be that.
Yeah.
So you're right. We've got to stand up. We got to unite. There is still a very real threat to our democracy and our way of life.
Yep.
But again, we've got to continue to do the work.
Yeah.
We've got to continue to show up. We've got to still continue to build a legacy for our kids.
Yeah.
And for the generation that comes after them.
Yes.
So the work isn't done.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yep.
It's not done. And you're right. Every generation went through their thing.
Yeah. This is ours.
Yeah. This is ours. We're going to go through it.
I love it. Yeah.
So, do you enjoy speaking at events? So I know that,
Yeah. So this is a new arena for me. Honestly, I've worked my way up to comfort to talking about the science. And I'm at the point. It's something you said at the event as well too. You're like, I'm confident. This is who I am.
Yeah.
I've heard it all my life. And this is, and it took me a minute to get there, because a lot of times in graduate school, the job is to kind of like firestorm you, what about this? What about that? You got to come in this place. So does that mean that this is, and so it's modeled to prepare you for the hard questions and to always be ready and set, before, think about the question before they even ask you. And so, I've had to build there, and so now I'm in another little rebuilding phase because I mastered talking about the science, and now I find myself these days talking more about myself, and in my mind, I'm thinking I just did what anybody would have done to walk through the door. You see the opportunity, you go for it. And, sometimes I'm reminded, no, people don't always do that.
You don't.
Yeah.
We are taught
Yeah.
that if we're confident, it's ego, right? We're taught that, like, you can't be too much, you can't shine too much. But I always say to folks, it's like, if you work on you and you truly believe that you are good and you deserve to be there, then like all the other stuff, then you can worry about the science and all the other things that you can't control and you don't know and you understand. But you, who you are, who Antia is, you're good. You're incredible. Now the other things you can work on. And there's going to be things that you don't know, but that's okay. Like, we're not supposed to know everything.
Yes.
So
I learned that I learned that. I've learned that. I see it and I'm like, man, this person knows this. I don't know this. I have to know this now. And so now,
Yeah.
now I'm at the point I'm like, it's not nothing, not nobody can tell me. If you know the answer, good for you. Now I do.
Absolutely.
If I don't know the answer, I have 1,000% confidence that I can find the answer.
Okay. Absolutely.
And that's all you need.
Yeah. Make you last.
Exactly.
Who knows everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the thing is, so even if I'm not good at it, it's still okay. You're successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just how I see it.
Period. Yeah. Yeah.
To worry about not being blasé about confidence because I do know people struggle with self-esteem and self-worth. Like, if you work on you, then you don't have to worry about like if you are confident and you're going in there. Like I'm just like I don't want that to be an issue. I don't want that to be a hindrance for me. The confidence is not like, do I belong in the room? Like you could put me there and you could ask me the square root of all of this.
Yeah.
Still, like, yeah, I deserve to be in this room.
Yep.
I'm still.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. I think we preface our worth and what we know and what we've accomplished, but we were born marvelous. We were beautifully and wonderfully made. So we're already awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then the other things are just extra.
Yeah.
It's like the sundae. Like, you get the extra nuts and all of that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you don't have that, it's still ice cream.
Yep.
Ice cream.
Yep. Yeah. 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 I know this is your show, but I do want to ask you, I want to unpack that a little bit more. I don't know if you have met her, you guys know, that she exudes this energy that is infectious, and that is needed more in places where the light is dim, and I don't mean to go you are an energy that belongs in places where the light is dim. And I think that I want to learn more about, when did that switch turn on for you? Was it a switch? And I know you said something at the conference before, and you're like, every Black girl story isn't about trauma, and I have some elements of trauma that has brought me to, the same spot. And so what what can I tell the girls, like, for someone who maybe not have experienced trauma, or no, you know what I mean, like someone who kind of just digs into that level of confidence by way of nature, versus a result of.
So okay. Yeah. I think every little Black girl have had tough experiences.
Yeah.
Right? And there are things that has happened in my life that's happened to me, but it's not me. So it's an experience that I've gone through. I was born in Jamaica and I was not the favorite child. Like, so I was dark skinned. They idolized lighter skin.
Yeah.
I didn't have the straight hair. I had nappy hair. So I wasn't anybody's pick. And, I had family members that were brilliant because education is a big thing. So I wasn't the prettiest. I wasn't I was bony. Lord, I'd love to be bony. I'd love to be skinny again. So felt like I was never anybody's first choice.
Yeah.
So I had to be my own first choice. And like even as a child, I had to rely on myself a lot because even when I went to school, and I mean, I'm me and I'm always going to be popular.
Yeah.
But the lighter skinned girl, the straight hair girls, like they were, the one that were considered like the height of beautiful. And my whole life, I kept thinking like, and then I don't know, I think I was confident. Like I just started getting confidence in my teen. And then I was just like, why am I waiting for somebody to tell me that I'm cute? Like I'm cute. And then, I started at cute
Mm-hmm.
and then went to pretty and then, went to
Yeah.
beautiful and then
Yeah.
went to stunning and then went to gorgeous.
Yeah.
And as I aged and then I grew and then as I got older, I recognized that beauty is subjective.
Yeah.
And if I consistently wait for others to validate my looks
Yeah.
or the things that I do, I would be disappointed. And folks weren't choosing me, but then I decided that I had to choose myself. So as I started growing, and then in, like, in my 20s and my 30s, like my confidence kept,
Yeah.
going up and going up and going up. And then I don't know if it was in my 30s
Yeah.
or so, like there's the part of me that was just like, yeah, I'm physically fine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another element. I'm like, yeah, I'm physically fine. I look good, like small waist, big booty, boobs, there is that. But
Yeah.
that's deeper than that. And I'm like, but I don't want my work to be based on my physical appearance.
Yeah.
And just I just kept saying, like, you have to show up for you.
Yeah.
And then when I got to spaces where not a lot of folks looked like me, and then I was like a manager, and even coming from Jamaica, like they would say that I wasn't Jamaican enough because I didn't have an accent,
Mm.
and I didn't have a strong accent, and then so
Really?
about
I hear it all the time.
thank you, thank you, right? And so it's like I'm not black enough for black spaces, I'm not white enough, and then I was just like my whole mind in my own mind, I kept saying, but I'm just me.
Mm-hmm.
And but like something that I just kept coming back to, like people
Yeah.
are not choosing me.
Yeah.
So, but then I kept saying, but why do I need people to choose me? I need to choose myself. And every aspect of my life that I was going through, like I realized that, like I have to choose myself. Like I have to be my own champion. Like I have to. And it just got to the point where I had to keep
Yeah.
showing up and telling. And then when folks questioned, like I had to tell them. And then I believed my own thing.
Yeah.
I like, so
Yeah.
it became more than me saying it. Like, then I started to truly believe it because I realized that there were so many people that were in my life that were ready to tear me down,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when I was skinny, I was too skinny. I was too dark. My hair was too nappy.
Yeah.
Then when I put on
Mm.
weight, like everybody was there to point it out. When I was single, like everybody pointed out that I was single. When I met, you know, the love of my life, it was like, oh, like, you're dating, like when you're getting married. So then you had a kid, like when are you having a kid? Like when I had a kid, like how you're having more kids.
Yeah.
So like I felt like everybody like had this expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got to the point I was so tired of it.
Yeah.
And I had to do it at work too. Like I had to prove myself. I was the store manager, then district manager. I had white counterparts that were not as experienced as me, were not as educated as me, making more money than me. I mean, high title. I just felt like all my life,
Yeah.
I have to prove. And then I'm like, I'm done. Like my self worth is not determined by you. I determine my self worth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't anymore. And I'm not going to share this on the show. I've had traumatic experiences,
Mm-hmm.
but again, it happened to me. It didn't break me, it didn't shake me. It just made me who I am.
Yeah.
So while it's a part of my story, it's not my entire story. So sometimes folks want us to focus on the trauma. And for those that are going
Yeah.
through the trauma and those that have to, that's that their trauma. I pray for healing for them. But I choose to look at it that whatever happened didn't break me.
Yeah.
Whatever happened, I I beat it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to the other side. And I will not wait around for somebody else to see my worth or my value. And I think because of that, I'm able to show up for others and help them find their light and show them who they are. Because when I meet someone, I never ever worry if they're better than me because I'm confident in who I am. So I can hype you up.
Yep.
I can help you see your light because I already see mine.
Yeah.
So
That's
for
awesome.
me, that's the simplest thing.
Yeah.
So if I know that I'm a light and I'm never worried that your light will dim mine, I have no problem like lighting yours.
Yeah.
I have no problem highlighting you because I'm not worried that you're going to be better than me. I'm just me and you can never be me. And I don't want you to be me. I want you to be fully authentically you. So for those that are, struggling with trauma, I will say that who has the right to judge you? Who has the right to define who you are? Who has the right to define what success is? Who has the right to define what beauty is
Yeah.
for you? If you decide that
Yep.
you are, then you are. And just go with it. And that's what I did. So I know a lot of times, and I got a lot of questions about it the other day when I spoke. People ask me about my confidence because, again, I don't compare it to others. So, like, when I say, like, I'm beautiful, I'm not saying I'm beautiful compared to.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just beautiful.
Yeah.
Like,
I love it.
I don't care
I love it.
if you are.
Yeah.
So, because I can see the beauty in myself, it allows me to see the beauty in others. So I can tell a woman she's beautiful.
Yeah.
I can compliment everything about her because I truly believe that
Yeah.
we are each beautiful in our own way. So
I love it.
hopefully that answers your
Oh yes, more than answered
your
my question.
question.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. It's
I
like
don't
you
know.
have intrinsic motivation. You know, like you can dig within. You don't really need like an outside source to kind of plug your battery type of thing. And I think, a lot of people don't possess that, and that is a gift.
Genuinely did it. I just thought
Yeah,
it's who I am.
yeah,
So right, and I think as I've grown, it's gotten stronger and deeper
yeah,
and become this part of me. But I mean, I did assume that a lot of people like had that, but I think just for such a long time, I had to show up for myself
yeah,
when I couldn't call on anybody else to show up for me. That it just became that I
yeah.
recognize it's not that I don't need people because I appreciate a compliment
Yep.
and, and I do appreciate a
Yeah.
compliment. We're going to leave that
Yeah.
out. But I also, if I don't get it,
Yeah.
I'm good
Oh,
because I don't need the external
yeah.
validation.
Yeah.
And I think I wish more people saw that
Yeah.
and people got that if you truly focus on working on you and truly believe in you, then what other people think about you really doesn't matter
Yep.
in the end. It's
Yep.
extra gravy. It's more whipped
Yeah.
cream on the sundae.
Yeah.
But
Especially when you got a picture that looks like that from the right. The camera can paint the picture for you guys. This.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm saying 10.
So, so it's not about you. Thank you. So yeah, no,
You know.
I just wish people saw themselves
Yeah.
as valuable,
Yeah.
as beautiful, and as worthy. And and
Yeah.
I just I like for me it's so simple, but like many don't see it. But it's just like if you work on you and you're good on you,
Yeah.
then you don't. It's so much easier for you to value and appreciate others.
It's like a deep breath.
Yeah.
It's like let it out. When you can
Exactly.
focus on self and say, like, I've
Yeah.
come through some things,
Yeah.
and whatever they're going through, whatever their successes are, that's for them. I
Absolutely.
have my own, this is theirs, and you appreciate yours even more. When you
Absolutely.
stop comparing and stop, putting it side by side.
You
So
have to.
I truly, I get that. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
scientist. So now if I look at that as like, oh my God, she's a scientist and I'm not, then I'm going to come from a place of then envy.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to start thinking less than myself because I'm not a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
But why? I don't want to be a scientist. And I think that's what a lot of people
Yeah.
don't recognize. They'll
Yeah.
see somebody doing something and they envy and they feel bad and they're comparing themselves. That's not who you are. That's
Yeah.
you don't even like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why compare your journey to mine? Like, I have to be the best version of me. You have to be the best version of you. And, I teach classes, right? And I remember asking this question. If two people set out, one set out to gain their GED and one set out to get their PhD, who's more successful? And most people responded, the PhD. And I said, why? It's like, well, it's a PhD. But I said, they both set out on a goal and they achieved their goal. They're both successful.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
One wanted a GED and one wanted a PhD.
Yep.
But in our eyes, we're so tuned in to think that the PhD is more, and it is. It's an amazing work. But if that's not your journey, it's okay. But you have to be okay with that. Yeah. Because if you're not okay with what you have achieved and what you have gained, you will always compare yourself to others, and you always find yourself wanting.
Yeah. So, yeah. I literally just had the same conversation with my brother Evan the other day. I just had this conversation with him the other day because, like you mentioned, I'm the scientist. I have a PhD. My brother went off to the military. He had like great training in the military, and then he started his career in like healthcare. And so we would talk all the time, like, why would people think you are jealous of me? You're my big brother. He's like, I don't know. I raised you. I'm like, okay, stop it. Baby sister did. I'm like, yeah, but I said, but Evan, like success, you like they don't know that you are way more like emotionally managed, tempered. You handle much better than I. Yeah. I'm the either going off or crying. So I'm just like, he just has this stillness about him. And I like look at that and say, this is successful. Absolutely. You live a life that, you get your stresses here and there, but you know how to manage this. This. Yeah. Some folks do not, and I'm one of them some of those days. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like success is defined by, your personal goals. Like you mentioned, it's like when you stop putting things side by side, then hey, we're good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like we have to, and it's something that I've been saying for a long time. Yeah. We have to create our own definition of success by your own standards. Yeah. Not by because there's always going to be somebody that's taller, which actually that I don't like. There's not true background. So I'm supposed to. There's always if you start to think in terms like that, there's always going to be somebody who society deems taller, prettier, smarter, or whatever. Like, so the goalpost is constantly going to change, right? Yeah. Because if we rely on society to who have not been kind to Black folks or folks that look like us for a long time. Yeah, no. But if we rely on society to define what success looks like and what beauty is and all of that, there's always going to be a moving goalpost. Yeah. So I'm not the most athletic, but I do. When you're playing a sport, the whatever it is has to stay fixed, right? So if it's a basketball net, it has to stay on. So if they kept moving it, yeah, exactly. So what is Lynn? Yeah, right. Yeah. If they constantly move it, you're never going to get the ball in it. Yeah. So it has to stay in place. And that's the thing. Society doesn't let it stay in place because it's like, this year it's like STEM and then next year it's entrepreneurs. Yeah. And, it's like whatever. Now folks are famous for doing absolutely nothing on TikTok. Oh gosh. And that's their definition of success because they are making millions, but then they don't save it and then TikTok was banned and then again, that is your version of success. I'm not like define your own success. I'm not worried about anybody else's version of success. For a very long time, I was focused on my retail career. Yeah. I wanted to be, I was district manager and all of these different things and pursue different paths. And the truth is, I don't know what the future holds for me. Yeah. Because like I feel like the world is still this amazing place where I get to still evolve and become who I want to be. Yeah. So this is where I am now. Absolutely, right? I hope my confidence doesn't change, and it could. You know, it all depends. I hear menopause is tough. We'll get there. 20, 30 years. It's just like who I am now is very confident in who I am and what I've accomplished. And it's not the same as what anybody, but I'm okay with it because I accomplished what I set out to accomplish. So,
Yep.
you know, I hope people take inspiration from the fact that they're exactly who they're meant to be.
Exactly.
And if you don't like it, you literally have the power to change your life.
Yeah. Yeah. You woke up. It's a new opportunity.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So you no, I appreciate you asking. I did. I get a lot of question about it sometimes, and you know the thing is, it's like a lot of people will say something about energy, and I remember. So personal as a China God, like when people come in like energy, and I was like, okay, well, this is all energy, like this is my faith and all of that. But then I realized my energy comes from God.
Yeah.
So then I stopped looking at it as something to hide.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like if you see in me and you like that energy and it reminds you that you're awesome too, then that is just God helping me, helping you to see your light. So I'm good. So I no longer shy away from it. So I take the compliment and I move on and you know.
Yes.
So, you know, for you, you know, being as society deems accomplished and you deem accomplished because you set out for a goal and you accomplished something way beyond your wildest imagination.
Yeah.
And that you even thought possible. What's your confidence level?
It's there. You know, I don't know what the scale is, but I will say because you know there are other things I still want to accomplish. There's other things I still know that I have gaps on. So you know I won't lie and say like I'm a 10 out of 10 out of confidence, but I'm definitely a 8.59. We'll get there.
And I get it.
Yeah.
So here's my question. So because you haven't accomplished everything that you want to do, it doesn't make you less than.
Yeah, it doesn't. But I know it's a lot of self that gets in the way, you know. And so because I know I have, you know, the gaps of you know, being more organized or time management, you know, or things like that. You know, that's a responsibility I hold to myself. So Tia, you can't be a 10 yet until you overcome the obstacles that you have put in your own way, you know. And so I'm okay with that because I have a goal, you know what I mean, inside of a goal. Something. Yeah.
Trust me, teas will humble you, but
we gotta do a part 2 on that.
No. So kids, I love them. They're great kids, and you know whatever. But like, what did I say the other day? I don't even know. I just said a word, and she was like, "Okay, mom, like just."
See.
Basketball performance, and you know, like we were, like that, like I was like,
Oh yeah.
What I said really well.
Yeah.
She's like, she's like, I know what it means. Just don't use that word.
Parenting teenagers should be a science that is studied. It's a thing. Oh man, seriously,
they're incredible. So you know, what do you do for self care? You know, I always ask folks like, what do you do for it? Like, I say this. Thank you so much for asking the question. I mean, I just want to.
I got to get the gems.
No problem speaking. You know, and just thank you. Anyway, go on. So
self care. So a lot of you know, I'm a parent And so I'm deeply enthralled in that. And I find lots of joy watching them like hit certain milestones or things like that. Like my son plays sports and he is phenomenal. And I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, like this came out of me, you know what I mean? My daughter, she's like she gravitates towards like things she learns pretty fast. Like they're both in piano lessons now, and so when they first started, it was like twinkle twinkle, girl. And now like he's playing Duke Ellington. And I know you asked about me, but it's like it knows that to sit. Oh my gosh, I can sit and listen to them play all the time, and they're no Beethoven yet, but at the same time, it's like the progress, the the climb. It's like, oh my, yes, yeah.
To hear that.
Oh yeah.
It's a beautiful
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
very
yeah,
special kind of
yeah.
like that came out of me.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Just seeing some of the things that you have helped or advise them on, and they act like they don't listen, but they are listening, and for them to implement, it's like, okay, I think I'm doing right, and so that's been a great accomplishment of mine because my kids have been amazing. They literally are like they trick me. I'll say that they trick me because I think other kids are supposed to be like that, and you see other kids, and it's like what happened? And it's
Jeez. Something because it's like so my daughter was like I was like a year ago.
yeah.
It's just like a kid, like just being really rude and disrespectful to their parent.
Oh my god.
It's just like so just turn on my teen daughter, and I'm like, did you ever? She's like, I'd be dead. It makes sense.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
did you think you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yes.
She's like, I'd be dead, and we just move on.
Yeah.
So it's just like, sometimes you are amazed. I mean, they still don't clean their room, but sometimes you're just amazed at the incredibleness of them.
Yeah.
So
I'm extremely passionate about like parenting, and I don't think I have the formula, but I like to I like to talk about like what worked for you, what worked for me. If we have the same goal of kids doing this or doing that and so forth, and it's like, man, like I feel like I got something right. You know what I mean? Like personally, I got something right. So that's been a pleasure to watch. I play tennis here and there. I like to act like I like to wear a skirt. To be honest, I like to wear skirts and an outfit times and stuff. But man, I spread my enjoyment everywhere. So maybe a different thing each weekend. I'll do a craft. One weekend I'll go play tennis another weekend. But I try to find more time for myself, but it is wrapped up in kids. But I get so much joy out of it.
That's what college to graduate.
Yeah.
Have families of their own. So there is absolutely nothing as long as you're all enjoying it. It's not like a chore. So no, absolutely. So well, I can't believe it. It's been an hour. The time just flew away, and we can continue talking. But I appreciate you so much, and thank you for hiking over an hour to get here.
Yeah, anything for you. Yes, ma'am.
The feeling is mutual. So I'm so glad that I had an opportunity to highlight you for folks to hear your incredible story so that they could see you and just also be inspired to chase their dreams. And even though there might be obstacles, it's possible.
Yeah.
So, and that's truly what I want every little girls to see when they watch this show.
Awesome.
To see you, to say it's possible.
Yeah.
And not just Black girl, any little girl.
Yeah.
Just to see it's possible. So thank you so much.
Thank you
for being on the show.
Thank you.
I truly appreciate you and your family.
Thank you for having us. I really appreciate it too.
Anytime. Yes. So I'm gonna go say bye, and then if you want to just give at the end, you can just give a little motivational quip. All right, so I'm going to say, so thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you tuning in week after week. This was Black Excellence, and I thought it was a perfect way to end with the fabulous Dr. Antia Veal, who is going to just give you a quick motivational thought.
Yeah, if you ever find yourself in a space of doubt, whether if that doubt comes from others or yourself or a hurdle you may have in life, just know that there's only one you in this world, and there's only one way of dealing with that hurdle, that doubt, that challenge, that next step in life, and it's within you already. So trust yourself, trust what God has in store for you. Trust that your steps are ordered, and just keep digging. Follow that path and that passion.
All right. Yeah, I love it. And I can't so I am positively Suzanne and
Antia.
bye guys.